Today we're going to be speaking with Kayla Lindsay all the way from North Carolina and her journey over the past couple of months on YouTube and how this sustained her through her pregnancy and actually having to take time off. Now, Kayla's been in real estate for over 8 years. She did what most real estate agents do. She got started out with cold calling and she actually liked it, but she would sit down and block off 3 hours every single day to cold call. And as we know, once you stop cold calling, your lead generation stops. So she moved into referral business after a couple of years of doing that, still makes calls, but still relies on her referral business. But she knows that that's not the strongest pipeline you could have in place. Now, when she finally got pregnant, she realized that she didn't have much of a pipeline in place. And she'd been doing videos over the last several years, but had never gotten a return and had never really focused on it. So luckily for her, she was speaking with her coach, Veronica Figueroa, by the way, and she told her she should look at our channel. And so Kayla on her own went to our channel, just started studying it. And from there, she just started to model everything that we had done. But at a certain point, she realized that she probably wasn't getting the full picture. And she started to see some traction, but she knew that she could get more out of it. And that's whenever she reached out and, to partner with us over at EXP. And so once she did that, she was able to start to build up a pipeline, actually structure her videos properly with correct optimization, keyword researching to attract clients to her. Then the calls started happening and coming inbound, which she absolutely loved. And then during her pregnancy was able to sustain her business, even though having to go into bed rest well before she was planning because of a cracked rib. So this is what's so critical about building up your video content, is that's why we preach passive prospecting so much, is because once you create these videos, they will go to work for you constantly, and not just 24/7, but in a compound effect. Imagine generating close to 100,000 in GCI while spending most of that time pregnant and even having to take time off. So her business did not suffer too much. Now, she wasn't able to film as much as she could have, but she's going to break down in this video the exact videos that have really brought her the most business, how she got her first call after only publishing 8 videos, and even how it was a mental shift for her, because what she realized was that making video was really not that hard and not that time consuming. So she had to get her mind right for the fact that just creating a video was her prospecting. So being able to replace that with 3 hours of cold calling every single day. So I cannot wait to share with you her story. Let's jump into the video. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today, Kayla. I'm super excited to share your story and your very own YouTube journey on today's call. So let's kind of like break down some of the history, a little bit of the backstory. I don't want to go all the way back to first grade. Yeah, let's not go back that far, but let's talk about, how long have you been in real estate?
So I've been in real estate 8 years, coming up 8 years in September, actually.
Okay.
And before then, it was still sales. I have a sales background as far back as I can remember, when I realized wasn't going to be a dentist. So,
okay. Well, what was the job before you got into real estate?
So funny enough, I had a couple, but they were all in industrial. So the one right before I got into real estate, I worked for Gray Bar, which is an electrical company. And I was heading up a new division that was all green energy, which is awesome. So I did really great at it, but I found myself getting really bored going to the same place every day, doing the same thing every day. And I just knew I wasn't supposed to be there. And long story short, it seems like there's been multiple things in my life that have just led to real estate, from, co-hosting a college event that the guy that was going there with me was a real estate agent, to then helping my mom stage and sell her house, to then I just kept seeing more and more things that were pushing me that way. And I'd always wanted to flip houses. So I said, well, if I get into real estate, then I'm in the market. So it's going to be easier to flip a house like that. Mind you, we didn't start our flipping business, my husband and I, until last year. So obviously we waited a little while till we did that, but it just all fell into place. And it was the first time I'd been in school in a very, very long time that I actually enjoyed being there, because I knew that I was going to be able to apply what I actually learned.
All right. Well, there you go. So when you first got into real estate, what was your method of lead generation?
So a little bit on me, my first year, rookie of the year, I did clear 6 figures. My goal was,
Nice.
if I could make 50K, this was my story to myself. If I could make 50K, I would keep going, but I had to give it all I had to see if I could make it. And by the end of the year, I had my little loose leaf paper because I didn't track my numbers the way I'm supposed to track your numbers. But I didn't track them the way I was supposed to. And I'm going through my piece of loose leaf and I said, honey, I made $120,000 this year. And
Wow.
I sold, I think, 29 houses. Obviously, you can do the math on that. My price range was much lower.
Yep.
And I was just shocked. And I was like, this is amazing. But my methodology when I first got into it was expireds. I didn't have any money, but I did have time. And I did have the wherewithal to say, you know what? What's the least expensive way and quickest way to do this? It was scripts, dialogues, and getting on the phone. So I got on the phone every morning. By the end of my first year, I was very structured of every morning for 3 hours. I was on the phone booking appointments. And I wasn't the greatest listing agent when it came to, I would say, getting the listing, meaning I wasn't getting 5 out of 5 that I went on. I was getting 2 out of 5, right? Like one would cancel, one I didn't want, one was like, no, there's a guy with a cheaper commission.
Mhm.
And then of course it was me getting that last one. So it was more of a numbers game for me. But I knew if I hit enough of them, I would get the appointment and then I would get the deal. So that really drove me to hit what I wanted to. And it honestly, it served me well for my first 3 to 4 years in real estate until those referrals started coming in.
Okay. And so that's what you basically transitioned out of that into just
Mhm.
more referral based?
Yeah, not only from past clients, but also from other agents, friends, sphere. Like they got to that point of not only trusting me that I knew what I was doing because I'd been in it long enough, but also they hit that point that they wanted to do something, or they had a friend or a family member, and I didn't have to make the calls anymore. Now I still today, honestly, I enjoy doing it. We'll get into that, but I really didn't have to, which was nice. So my biggest year that I had, I actually shifted into buyers in 2020, and I wasn't doing cold calls. Instead of I was doing home buyer seminars, and I did one home buyer seminar in 2020, and then everything got shut down. So I said, well, crap, what am I going to do? So then I realized, well, what if I go virtual? So then I started doing virtual home buying seminars, and I was getting 20 to 30 leads every seminar. And I was doing the same thing over and over, just showing people how to buy a house, which if you go to my channel, you will see a version of that because I did a video on how to buy a house in North and South Carolina. So, which then I also use with the people coming in. I just send them the link. I'm like, hey, go learn how to buy this. Just listen to it. It kind of warms them up to what's going to come next. So I did that for 2 years and we got really buyer heavy and it got really competitive. And with all of that coming in, I didn't have to call expireds, which was kind of nice. Like it's nice to not have to cold call. But it kept the business flowing. So it's morphed so much over the last couple of years. It's really incredible to see.
Yeah. Plus, there were no expireds the last couple of years, right? So,
That was one of the tough parts.
yeah.
I'd have clients are like, or agents that I was coaching, they're like, well, the FISBOs are selling themselves. I'm like, I know, it really sucks.
Yeah.
Or the expired that's completely overpriced is going to sell within a week anyway, because there's nothing there. So it was nice that everything was a perfect storm, right? Like the opportunity to work with buyers was just a perfect storm that came in, and that referral business started flowing.
Okay. So yeah, you started out calling, calling the expireds, calling FISBOs as well, and built that up,
Hmm.
making your calls every day. And you're one of the rare ones that actually enjoyed that a little bit.
I
So
really do. I'm weird. I know.
So yeah, few and far between. But again, you made a very good point, which is when most people get into real estate, they have a lot more time than they do money. So that's
Hmm.
what you have to do. You have to make those calls. You have to knock on those doors because it doesn't cost you anything, just your time.
No.
And so
And that's the cost was low. Just to give
yep,
everybody an idea, that first year, in order for me to make $120,000, I spent $4,500. So the time was
wow,
there, and of course gas. But other than that, if you could do that, if you could just convert that, that's a great conversion. Like if you're looking at conversion of where to put your money, that is an amazing conversion. I think I splurged on a headset at one point, so I guess it technically was
nice.
4,000. But the boom headset's amazing if you guys want to cold call.
There you go. Okay, so then you transition into referrals. So where did YouTube come into the picture?
So really funny. I've been doing video for years, years and years. And actually was doing a lot of agent coaching videos. So if you guys look up Kayla Lindsay on YouTube, you'll find my other channel, which talks about, wealth building and mindset and really how as an agent to build your business. But I wasn't getting a lot of hits, and I was also not coming at it from a sense of, I want to build this up. It was a, if I put it out there, they will come kind of mentality, and didn't do the right things to set it up. So I decided I guess it was last year, I wanted to focus on all these really great things, right? Like build my physical team, as the True Lane Group, which is my team name, build my team, do some Bitcoin, jump out there into the coaching sphere, and got the worst advice from everybody on basically, finally, I'm on the right track with that. And with that happening, what happened is a lot of my business dwindled because I started passing my leads out, but a lot of them weren't getting closed. So I could have closed them, but nobody else was. And I thought that was how it had to be done. So come April now, or we're into like April timeframe, then comes into May, and I'm coaching with, I'll give a shout out, Veronica Figueroa. I was coaching with Veronica on a few things, and I found out late May I was pregnant. And I was honestly terrified. Like we were trying to have a kid, but once it really happens, it's like, oh, this is real, like this is actually happening. And the scary part to me was I didn't have a pipeline. Like my pipeline was shot. I had no pipeline. I'm sitting there, what am I going to do, especially when I'm down? Like, what if I know friends that were on bed rest for months and couldn't work? What am I going to do? So I remember being on the phone with her, and I was a mess. And I'd already been doing a bunch of video for other things, for my database, etc. She said, you need to check out Levi's page. He does YouTube. I'm like, okay, never heard of Levi,
Oh,
but I'll go check out his
Veronica
page.
said that?
Yeah.
Oh,
So thanks, Veronica.
yeah. I love Veronica. She's super cool. Yeah.
She's awesome. So I went ahead, I was like, all right, let me check this guy's page out. So before I even dove into purchasing and doing the course, I basically said, let me just mimic everything he's done, meaning you. So I went in and went page for page. Every single page of everything you had, I think I copied and pasted everything and just put North Carolina instead of Texas. And I was like, okay, it's set up. And I just went just super hard focus on this has to get set up. I had my VA set up the website, that was the supporting website, and do all of the little pamphlets for the niches. And each of the, each of the counties, each of the towns in the county. So I got it all set up. But I think where it really kicked off was I actually started doing the video. Like I was watching some of the videos you had done. I was like, well, I can do that. Like I'll just go to each of these locations and start, I was already familiar with it. I was already familiar with editing, although my assistant edits. So I was like, okay, we can do this. So then finally I was like, well, I'm sure I could get some more nuggets out of the course. Let's go ahead and get the course. So I did, and there was nuggets I didn't know, like how to properly use TubeBuddy. I had TubeBuddy, but I didn't really know how to use it. So I was doing the SEO and how to upload this, and you should do the chapters and all these things that I was learning. I was like, okay, these are things that I didn't know, and even sometimes I'm lazy. Sometimes I have my admin going back in creating the chapters right now because I was doing just a lot of quick posts and they don't have chapters on them. So yes, you can still get results without the chapters, but I highly recommend doing them because I get way more hits on the ones with the chapters.
Yep.
And so as that started to morph, I was like, okay, well, I've been at it for, I think I was at it for like 3 months. I was posting video. And I got a phone call. Hey, we're moving from such and such.
How many videos per week?
I was doing 2 a week. I think the first like 2 or 3 weeks, I only did 1 a week. So I think I had a total of 7 or 8 videos up when they called. They're like, we've been watching your videos. You've got so many. I'm sitting there going, I had like 7, but okay. I'm here for it, and they were like,
hey,
we are
perspective, right? Perspective.
Exactly. Perspective. I was like, okay. And they're like, yeah, we're moving here. We're ready to go. Can you help us? And I was like, okay. So I run outside, and my husband, I was like, it's working. I got a call. Like I was so excited. And but then it was nothing for a little while. And then it started picking up. And then I would get another call. And then another person would text me. And then another, but it was very much spread out. Whereas now it's like back to back to back. And I think part of it's also seasonality. But one thing you had pointed out in one of your comments to me, because I had posted on the page, was, yeah, it's starting to pick up. And you pointed out, yeah, when you started your channel, it was in the middle of the 2.5% interest rates and everybody wanted to buy. It was a big hype. 2022 was slow for most people because interest rates went up. Everybody put the brakes on because they weren't sure what was going to happen. I think people are starting to get used to this is just where it's going to be now. So if you want to buy, this is where it's at. So that and the seasonality, and my channel has picked up pace at this point. It's like, again, that perfect storm that's happening, that yes, I'm putting in the effort, and now it's starting to feed back, which is really cool. But it took a few months for it to really start being consistent, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's the case though, too. I mean, I know, I came out of the gate with 3 videos a week. So if you do
Hmm.
1 or 2, and that's something that I do encourage people. I mean, I do believe the more content you produce, right, the more opportunity.
Yeah.
It's not a perfect formula, but I'm like, I don't want to leave anything to chance, at least when I was starting. But
Yeah.
the funny thing was, you mentioned that. I mean, did we start in a perfect storm? Yeah, I believe so. Definitely being in Dallas, being in a top relocation market.
Hmm.
But I didn't know that.
And not to knock the efforts, by the way,
No,
either. It
no,
was
no.
like,
I
it was
get,
just
I get
awesome.
that. Yeah, I get that. But I didn't know that because I didn't have
Yeah.
the real estate agent background, so I wasn't thinking. I wasn't predicting any of that to happen. It
Uh-huh.
was, it was just like 2020 happened, and I was like, okay, what do I do?
Hey.
And I bought.
Yeah.
So the home I'm in now, and this is what I talk about on my channel right now. The home I'm in, I bought in 2019 at 5% and did
Yeah.
not even bat an eye. They were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, 5%." I was like, "Okay, that sounds great."
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so wasn't even worried about it. Now everybody's like, "Oh, 5% is terrible." And so yeah, we got into it. But yeah, it definitely came with yeah, I mean, it was a lot of work, but I had no
Oh,
idea
yeah.
what was going to happen there. But still, it's 1, 2 videos. But we have another guy, Jonathan, in California. He started that channel right when the market completely shifted, but
Yeah.
still was able to
Still
turn out.
successful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
still did almost 200,000 in commissions.
That's awesome. I think
And
it's the consistency.
yeah,
That's the biggest thing that I've realized is it's the consistency of doing it. Like you coming on and saying, I'm gonna do 3. And that's another
yep,
shift. So for like anybody that's watching this, that you are doing expireds, you are doing events, you are doing other things as sources. The mental shift I had to make as an active producing agent was me making videos is me prospecting. Like
yep,
that was a shift for me because I was so ingrained that if I wasn't on the phones and I wasn't cold calling, I wasn't prospecting. So I had to make this mental shift that no, me isolating my recording time and my prep time is just as important as me making phone calls because that is a form of prospecting.
yep.
So that was a big thing for me, and I really I struggled with it, to be perfectly honest. It was a struggle because it was fun, and it was kind of one of those like, okay, I'm doing this really fun thing, like,
And it's
but
really
no
not, yeah,
one's
it's not that hard.
yeah,
It's fun. And then you're like, you record a video in 30 minutes and you're like, really? That's it? That's
yeah,
all
like,
I
and
have
what
to do?
now?
Yeah. Wait a second.
What do I do now?
Wait, I can go spend time with my family. I can actually maybe go watch a movie. Oh, I can eat
Right,
dinner
it's
and not,
crazy.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, I mean, I traveled to 25 conferences last year in 2022.
that's
And
a lot.
yeah, mainly because, well, number one, I got to speak at half of them, but the other half were because I wanted to get out and build relationships and meet people. And I know the fastest way to do that is to get in proximity of people.
Mhm.
And so it just kind of worked out that way. I didn't realize that until we looked back last year. We were just like, hey,
Yeah,
but there's no way I would have done the amount of business if the video was not constantly working in the background. So every time I came home
yeah,
for a few days, it was like, well, I'm going to record a couple of videos instead of like, oh crap, I've got a call for 10
go
hours a day now to
churn it
make up,
out.
yeah, to make up
Yeah,
for time lost. It was like, nope,
yeah,
I just come home, make a couple of videos, and then on the road the next week. And
mhm.
we did a ton of business, so it worked out quite well. So
Yeah, that's a big thing that I've realized, and I think although I wasn't doing so for example, I was doing 2 videos a week up until I went on maternity leave and where I dropped it to 1, but what I had one of my admins do was start taking those videos that I had, not so much the vlog ones, but ones where I was dropping information about, like, schools and tax rates and things like that, and he was turning it into 30-second clips that he's putting into YouTube Shorts. He's throwing up on, Twitter or not Twitter, oh my gosh, TikTok
yeah,
and Instagram and Facebook. He's throwing them all out there as well. So it was pulling people back into the channel because they got hooked by a little something and now they can watch the long form video if they really want to engage. So they were getting the information, but they were also getting the vlog and fun content. So I usually do like one of each, like one where I'm driving around, we're going to go see these houses, it's going to be great. And then another one where it's information. And I've started asking the people that are reaching out to me, which video was it that you first saw, because they'll be like, oh, I feel like I'm talking to a movie star. Like, I've watched all your videos. And I was like, well, that's really cool. When HGTV calls, I'm going to give them your number. You can talk me up. And they started telling me what video it was. One was North Carolina versus South Carolina. Another one was escaping New York. Another one was tax rates or retiring into the area. And then I did a veteran one. Like, there was different ones that have really been pointed that people have been drawn to. And you can kind of see, not necessarily based on how many times it's been viewed, but it's the ones that are, I guess you could say, the bigger affecting parts of the questions that on people's minds. Is this the right spot? Like, I'm making a comparison in North Carolina of these 3 top cities. Which city should I move to? So I'm doing a series of the top cities in North Carolina, comparing it to Charlotte, Asheville versus Charlotte, Raleigh versus Charlotte, Wilmington versus Charlotte, because they're trying to decide what city is best for them. So that's been a really cool, I guess, awareness that I've had with some of the, comments and things like that I've got on my videos. Those seem to have the higher comment rates.
So, and you mentioned earlier, so you were told by a good friend, Veronica, about the channel. So you went to the channel, studied the channel inside and out, started making video, but then you decided to get the program and go through that. So why did you make that decision?
So 2 reasons. One, if I'm going to learn from someone, I'd also like for them to get a little bit of credit out of it too, and be helped. So 1, thank you. But I also realized that there was 2 different advantages to that. One, there was going to be a group of people on the other side of that, I guess you could say, paying you for a course. It wasn't just the course. It was the people that were also doing the course and either having successes or learning things that weren't working. And I wanted to learn from them as well. And be able to share my experiences, because I realize a lot of people get nervous and they don't keep going. It's like the picture of the guy that's digging for gold. And if he was 1 scoop closer, he would have gotten it. Seeing that encouragement from others, and then me also sharing that, it's like, it's a very good energy and it keeps recycling. And as people learn things and things change on YouTube, I also wanted to be on top of it. So by being a part of that group, it's going to allow me to be on top of the changes that happen, because algorithms change all the time on different sources. So I want to be a part of it. The second reason was, there's only so much I could learn from mimicking a channel.
Yeah.
I knew there were background pieces that I couldn't see, like what keywords were being pulled, how were they being pulled, how were you structuring certain things that you were doing, what were the videos that were your top hits? Should I just go video a bunch of $1 million homes, or should I be giving out info, and what kind of info? What kind of introduction should I be doing? Which one thing I'm starting now is, in the middle of my videos, 2 times in the middle, saying, hey, remember, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe, because I haven't been doing that. So I'm starting to learn. But a lot of those key pieces, which are tweaks that I can make, they're very subtle, that I learned in the program, that can advance my videos and advance the amount of people that are actually seeing them. Which one of them is getting, which I can't remember if this was in the course, but getting Google Business certified, which I'm going through right now. I was out on maternity leave for a while, so I needed to get my location set up. And I wasn't on location, so I couldn't do it.
No, we have that. That's a bonus module, the Google Business Profile. Is that what you mean?
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Which I'm not sure if I'm not going to lie, I haven't finished the program. There's like 2 modules that I just haven't done yet, because I've been just slammed, which is awesome. But I go back.
More to come. Yeah, we have
more.
the Pinterest. Like, my Pinterest right now is getting 5,000 views a month, So
That's awesome.
That's just extra eyeballs, and Pinterest is a search engine. So when people are on Pinterest, they're researching things. And so if they're looking for Dallas and coming across our stuff, it's a great way to route them, And then, we have Google Business Profile in there. Very, very important. Now they're linking the Google Business Profile at the bottom of YouTube descriptions. And I did nothing to do that. That's just Google's now making the connection and starting to link them down there. So that's awesome. Pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So it's very important. I mean, we get a lot of traction to our Google Business Profile, and it's the great place for people to go see reviews. And so, and we've got 143 reviews on there right now. So it's a great place for verification, validation, and people really, trust Google reviews,
That's awesome. That's awesome. I would
encourage you.
That's getting finished up by next week. So that's on the docket.
There you go. Okay, cool. So let's talk about some stats. So
Yes.
yeah. So let's talk about start. What was the start date of your channel?
Start date was July 16th of 2022.
Okay. So we're not
Yep.
even at a year yet.
Not even a whole year yet. Yeah, I probably will have, and I'm pulling up my YouTube channel right now. I will probably be monetized by my first year
Okay.
anniversary, if not sooner, with the way the trajectory is going, which is awesome.
So let's talk about some stats real quick. I know you gave me a few, but so not even a year old, and you took time off in the middle of it too, right?
Yes, I took a lot of time off actually.
Why would you take time off from your channel?
I know, it's crazy. There's like one thing that could possibly happen. Actually, I took more time off than I anticipated, which I forgot to tell you about this. About 4 weeks before my due date for my child, I broke my rib. So
Oh,
I was actually out recording video when I broke my rib. I was getting in
oh,
the car and tweaked it and popped my rib and definitely broke it. And I was still, I guess it's one of those like your adrenaline goes. And I was like, I have one more house to film. And I drive like the 4 minutes to the next house because I had to complete the video. And I'm standing in front of this house. I'll probably have to find it and send it to you guys to see which one it is. You can't tell that I'm like writhing in pain. I'm like, yeah, so this is the last house. It's a great neighborhood. You know the deal. Okay, bye. Get in the car. So I was on the sofa for like 3 weeks healing.
oh
Then I
wow.
had a week of, being back at it, recording. And then I took 8 weeks off because I had my baby. So I had 8 or 9 weeks off. Now, granted, my goal was to video enough that I had 2 videos per week while I was down. Well, my water broke the next day when I was going to be completing my filming, which, that doesn't bode well for recording. So I was only able to get enough to have 1 video per week. So even with that, it did keep the channel alive because that's one thing you don't want to just stop putting things onto it. So with the help of my assistant who was putting shorts up there and I was putting up 1 video a week on there, it kept things at least moving. But you can see that if you actually look at my analytics, you can see it kind of got a little bit more level, but it never dipped down, which is
Yeah.
great. Like it's still growing, but you can see it's not as steep of an incline as it was. Getting
Okay,
back to
so
it.
less than a year, and you said 72,000 and closed GCI already.
Yeah, 72,000 in closed GCI, which is
And
awesome.
that's just from 40. So do you know the number of transactions that is?
Yeah, that was, I didn't actually pull that. Let me go and pull that. So that would be, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 closings.
Okay, so 6 divided by 4. So you're at a 15% conversion rate because you told me you got 40 leads so far.
Yep,
So 40 inbound leads, right?
40
People
inbound.
calling you
Yeah,
saying,
that's the
Kayla,
coolest thing. Okay, so I'm going to say this because this is the coolest thing. So I've been a listing agent for a very long time. I love listings. And I said to my husband the other day, because now I've got an infant. And if you guys go on listings, you know this. You go out on the listing appointment, you are there for 2 hours, probably, because you want to be there for an hour, but they're going to talk your head off, or you're going to keep trying to convince them that you're the one for them. And you're doing it between 5 and 8 o'clock at night. And then you're getting home, you're beat. I'm not going to be able to see my child. So I said to my husband, I was like, yeah, I really don't want to do these late night calls anymore. Like, I just don't want to do it. And all of a sudden it dawned on me because I had the most amazing week this last week. I put 6 houses under contract, 2 of which were YouTube ones. Actually, I take that back. You know what? You're going to be a little shocked here. Let's see. 3 of them were YouTube ones that I put under contract this last week.
3 in a
And
week
3 in a
from
week. And one of them called me on a Monday and we were under contract on Sunday. Um, so I had this aha moment. I went, wait, I'm already doing it. I'm already creating the business that I desire, still having things incoming, but we're told all the time, listings, lead with listings, lead with listings. You have to be a listing agent. If you're not a listing agent, you're not worth it.
yeah.
And again, it's the things you have to override if you've been in the business a little while, that's okay. Are you bringing business in? Cool. Leverage where you can and create the business you want. So that was like an aha that I had from that, which was pretty exciting. But yeah, sorry, I had to interject that. It was
No,
an
it's great. I
epiphany
know.
last week that I had.
I know people say that about, but when we did 184 buy sides last year, I'm okay with that.
I'm okay if money keeps coming in. That's
I'm
fine.
okay with that. And the funny thing is that I didn't open a single door. So
It's awesome.
Yeah.
That's my next leverage, which I have already instilled is one of my team members, she came to me one day and she said, "Look, I don't like cold calling. I don't like going out and finding the people." She goes, "I really just like showing houses." And I went, boop, eureka
Oh,
moment. I said, "How
there.
about this?
You're like,
Yeah,
hey, 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 there's my
here's my
partner.
plan." Yeah, I said, "Here's my plan." I said, "I'm going to be bringing a
There's your
lot of
Travis
buyers."
right there.
Yep.
That's what
He
Travis was
loves
like.
it.
Yeah, Travis was like, dude, I'll go run around, I'll cruise, I'll open doors, show homes. I was like, cool. I'll sit here and make
Yeah.
videos. And guess what? He doesn't have to make videos, he doesn't have to prospect, and I don't have to open doors.
Yep. It's the perfect harmony. So that's been a game changer for me. I still show some if I like really like them. There's a client or two where I'll just get a really good connection. I'm like, let's just go see a house. Like, even if it's just the first one, I just want to
Yeah.
see you guys. So that's, I'll do that, but I have at least a system, which is great.
And you've got 463,000 in commissions in the pipeline.
Yeah, so the way I have it set right now, I kind of look at it a few different ways, which I have my favorite spreadsheet, which I created years ago, and I just live by it. Follow Up Boss is my actual CRM, but this spreadsheet just like keeps me super focused on what's going on, who's coming in, how far are they. I want to move them to that next spot. So as of right now, I've had 72,000 that are either under contract or closed in GCI. Then I also have actively looking, meaning we are out looking at house either with me or with my showing assistant. I've got 86,000 that are actively looking right this second. They will put an offer in when they see that house, which is
Yeah.
awesome. And then I have another $305,000 in GCI that's in the pipeline and I've discounted a couple of them, by the way. There's a couple I pulled out where it's like, nope, we're not buying. There was one that didn't want to buy with me because I was pregnant, which was very interesting. People are very interesting out there, guys. So I went ahead and pulled those out. So these are ones that are saying, okay, we've already visited, or we're ready to go starting June, or our house, once it goes under contract, we're buying. So these are people that we're consistently in contact at least every 2 weeks, but they're buying between now and the end of 2023, which is really cool. And there's some that are like a little bit further out, but I've had several that are, hey, we're renting, and then they turn into buyers almost immediately, or they decide, oh, suddenly instead of renting, we really do want to buy. We visited and we found the perfect house. Those are the best.
Well, that's awesome. So what have you picked up on? Maybe something as far as maybe I'm unaware of, or what have you found has really worked well for you? Have you kind of found like a sweet spot for you? Is there something like, is it the neighborhood videos? Is it office videos? Is it something else that has really kind of fit well with your personality and you really enjoy that aspect of it?
Yeah, so I have realized, because I started, and I'm looking at the comments too. I'm looking at the comments, I'm talking to my clients who watch my videos, what's really engaging for them. And the first thing was, which I enjoy being on camera, so it's not odd for me, but I think I see a lot of people doing this. They get really nervous on camera, or they feel like they have to have everything perfect. That is the biggest thing I've learned. People call me like, we love your personality. Like, my personality isn't going to come through if I'm working off a teleprompter. My personality isn't going to come through if, I'm sitting there and I'm like, $145,000 is what this will cost you. It's more of I have some stats there, but I have fun with it. So my last couple of videos, I've gotten like the idea of a few stats that I actually needed, like what was the actual population. But other than that, I talk about my knowledge of it. What do I like doing there? What are the things I like? Is it warm? Is it cold? And the other thing is, you don't need to give a whole lot of information. Like, that's one thing I misunderstood. I always figured I'm going to jam pack this video with so much content, so much information. It's going to be the best video that anybody's ever seen. The ones that get more traction are the ones that actually have less information. Like, they're a little bit quicker. I mean, I still have one. There's one I'm posting tomorrow. That's a vlog, which is 20 minutes long, but I actually enjoyed watching it. But but I mix it up a little bit where it's just me talking, like as I'm walking a house, if I'm doing a house tour, and I'm like, hey, follow me out to the back door. And they'll start laughing. I'm like, you have a choice. You have to watch what I have on here. And like, but it's a little bit of me, that's what people are connecting with. So anybody can read a book, anybody can read online. There are dozens, if not hundreds, of other opinions and voices on YouTube in my area talking about the same thing. So what I realize is, the more me I am, the more people like me I attract, and I'm going to enjoy working with them. So that's the other thing. Like, I realized I'm not a cookie. Like, not everybody's going to like me. That's okay.
Yeah.
You know, the people that do like me are the ones that I'm going to have an amazing sale with because they get me and they're fun and they also like the certain things that I like and they like the way I talk and they're okay that I drop an F-bomb occasionally. Like, these are the people that are my people. So that's what I've started to morph towards, is being more me, going a little bit more off the cuff and talking about what I already know. And people have really started to pick up and like that. And a little bit of sarcasm goes a long way.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be, you know, super stuffy.
Oh yeah, we so I had one of our partners at EXP here in Dallas reached out. They've got a $2.5 million listing, and they asked, they said, can you come film the house? And I said, sure. I was like, do you want to be in it? Or they're like, no, you can do it. You can do it. She's like,
You're fine.
she's like, just bring me the buyer. And I was like, all right. So we went over there yesterday, beautiful house. And I walked in, I was like, all right. I said, are you leaving? Are you gonna come back? Or so I was just curious. And she's like, oh no, I'm gonna watch. And I was like, okay, all right, cool. I was like, all right, so I just, if you don't mind, I was like, take off your shoes. That way, if she starts to walk around it and want
Can't hear it.
heels clicking and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So she's like, all right, take off the shoes. And then I was like, okay, if you don't mind, just kind of like hang over here. I said, we're probably, I kind of walked her through the flow of how I'm gonna do the house. And she's like, okay. I said, so just stay there. And whenever I was in the kitchen, this home, of course, had a massive hood over the stove.
Yeah.
And one of the things I said was, I was like, and I said, look at this massive hood above this beautiful 6-burner stove. I said, you can burn all the food you want. This thing will suck up all the smoke. You won't, nobody will have to worry about it. And then I turned around. I was like, and while you're burning all the food, look at all the windows where you can see directly out into the backyard and see the pool, see the living room. That way, when you're in here cooking, you've got a straight, eye line of sight for the kids and, the guys watching the game or whatever's going on. You can see it all. And, and so when I was all done, she was like, wow, you made that look so easy. And she goes, I just love the jokes and she goes, you're painting the picture for the family. And I was like, yeah, I want people to see themselves living here,
living here.
I was like, I don't want the mom, usually the mom's the one that worries about the pool in the backyard. Like, I don't want a pool in the backyard. I don't want to get, but when the whole back wall and the kitchen area is just windows, now, still not ideal, but I was like, that may give somebody a little comfort when you point that out, because maybe the dad's like, I want a pool, and mom's like, no, I'm concerned about the kids. But then you're like, look, you can be here cooking in the living room, reading a book, and you've just got straight, eye line sight. And so she's like, oh, that makes sense. But yeah, I made several jokes throughout that just because that's great. That's what I do. I point out things. So it's like,
well, and it's fun because people are going to chuckle and then they get more engaged. Like, even, I mean, for example, in a listing appointment or things like that, you want to engage people, because if you're just spitting stats, unless they're a high analytical, which most people are not, by the way, they're not going to get it. That's just, they're not going to engage. They're going to disconnect. So if you want them to keep watching that video, you got to have something there. So, and I think the other, to your point, they're not in the room with you. Yeah. So for example, if I'm doing video or I'm driving around or I'm doing something, I'm describing the area. Now, if you live in Charlotte, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. You don't need the description, but I'm not making it for people that already live here. I'm making it for the person that lives in, Arizona and deals with scorpions. I got a question the other day, someone moving from Florida, and they said, can you swim in the lakes? And immediately I thought to myself, yeah, we don't have alligators, so it was those like the little things that you didn't think about. So it actually caused me to make a video the other day of what my clients tell me why they're leaving Florida, or why people are leaving Florida. I told it in the beginning of the video, hey, this isn't me. My clients are telling me these are the reasons they're leaving Florida and choosing Charlotte over every other city. And I went through a list of all the things my clients were telling me why they were leaving. So as I was talking to my clients over time, I'm starting to come up with other video ideas of things they're like, oh, you should do a video on this. Or they ask me certain questions and I'm like, you know what? I got this question like 3 times. Let me do a video on that. Obviously, someone needs to know this answer. So that's kind of helped morph and tweak things a little bit as I've gone, is just listening to, I'm not going to always take their opinion, but knowing little things that they want to know is really helpful for content.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, as we wrap it up here, is there any final words of wisdom or anything that you would like to share as far as something maybe we didn't cover?
consistency, consistency, consistency. I mean, I can't say that enough. That's with anything and anything you do, whether it be real estate or outside. You can't go to the gym and lift weights one day and expect to be a bodybuilder. It's the same thing, whether you're applying to video or cold calling or what have you. So I would say that. And number two, get leverage. Leverage is key. If you're going to build a life by design, that means you need to make sure that you have people to support you, whether that be your crew who's doing the editing. Because by the way, I can edit, but it's not my highest and best use of time. I find it fun if I'm doing it for fun, but not if I'm having to do 2 to 3 videos a week. It's just not fun. So stick to what you're good at, find people who can do the rest. And if you start getting busy, start looking into a showing assistant, because there's people out there that really do want to open doors, and they'd be happy to just split commission. So definitely take a look at it. But thanks for having me on.
Yeah, there you go. Kayla, thank you so much for joining us. Kayla's in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'll put a link down below for her channel so you can check it out, but also for her calendar. We're partnered together at EXP, so if you're thinking about making a move and you want to work with Kayla and you're in anywhere in the approved 24 countries, then she can definitely help you out. And let us know if we can help you out on anything as well. And until next time, well, check out the next video. It'll be just as valuable.